I'd like to thank everybody, particularly my wife, all my family, all the neighbors that come and help when the heifers got out. Some of them we just got Wednesday. We were going to sell them to you, and you could pick them up this winter. Um, but anyway, before I get started, I spent some time in Canada. I want to see the hands of how many people know who Wayne Gretzky is. Okay, I asked my daughter who Wayne Gretzky is. She's quite knowledgeable about everything. She said, "Who's that, Dad?" I have no idea. Is he a cattle buyer or what? And I said, "No, he's a hockey player." And I'm not a hockey fan, but I watched hockey, and he had a saying. He said, "It's not to be where the puck is now, it's to be where the puck's gonna be, and that makes you a good hockey player." And that's the same thing that a seed stock producer's got to do. He's got to be out there ahead of where the industry is. We don't know if we are or not, but we're trying. We're trying to be ahead of where the industry is, trying to do things that are going to be important to you in the future. So whether you know Wayne Gretzky or not, that came from him, and I think it's applicable to all of us. We've got to be ahead of the puck. You can't be right with it because then you're behind. So I'm going to give you a little history. I'm going to talk about some of the things we're doing, a little bit of history about us. Then I'm going to try to summarize and tell you a second time and some of the things that this industry is going to have to be careful about. We're not right now, but it's going to get us. It's going to bite us if we don't. I can have the next slide, please. A major event that happened, and it changed the whole industry, was mad cow disease. No doubt about it. These cattle were brought in here not to feed the American consumer. They were brought in here to make half-blood calves to send back to Japan. And in 2003, mad cow disease hit, and all these cattle that were going to Japan were stuck here. Nobody had heard of Wagyu. We weren't selling any Wagyu meat in the United States. Few of us ate it, and it forced quite a few companies to go broke. They had 3 years of cattle behind them, no place to go with them. No country would take any of this meat. And so they put it into the U.S., 60 cents on the dollar. They didn't have any choice. And then all of a sudden, it was shown that these cattle were better than certified Angus. They were as good. They weren't Watusi, they were Wagyu. So basically the industry started as an F1 industry, exporting this meat to Japan. Then it turned, we pushed it into the U.S., and the nutritionists have changed their tune. Now, animal fat's good. That time it wasn't. It was plant fat. As you watch TV now, they want you, is that what, am I saying this right? I mean, I see this on TV. I saw it before, and now I don't know what to believe. It's just like politics. You don't know who to believe out there. So now the U.S. is the best market for Wagyu meat in the world. The Japanese are sending meat in here, the Australians are sending meat in here, and we're trying to produce meat. It's a great market. The American consumer is a great market. Next slide. Now, where do we belong? Where do we belong? Here's the Japanese A5 to your left, and here's the USDA Angus Prime. We're in between there. That's where we need to be. We don't need to be producing A5. The Japanese are already producing it, and they're sending it in here probably cheaper than we can do it. So, and to be an A5, marbling only has to be a BMS score 8 or above. It doesn't have to be 10, 11, or 12. So, in my opinion, we don't take these numbers and only go for marbling. I mean, that got us here, but we've got to select for other things, not just marbling. And this is our market. It's between these two products, Japanese A5 and Angus Prime. Now, of course, the Australians are in on this market, and they're tough too. And they're not going to ease up, particularly with the price of beef. And I think we can handle the Australians and the Argentinians. I think we'll be all right with you guys coming in. But if the government lets the Brazilians in, then we're probably going to make our feet sweat. Just hope that doesn't happen. Next slide, please. So The one thing we have been, we've worked with Wagyu for 36 years. We registered our first calf in 1990. And I can see some of you weren't even born then. So uh, basically, we've been through it all. Seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's no doubt about it. Uh, where we raise our calves uh, is that poster back there. They're raised out on the range. They calve on the range. If they have a breech birth or a bad birth, so be it. This old man can't get out there and help them. So we've been selecting our cows that way. We raised our cows that way before. We didn't have much choice. 95% of our cattle are raised by their biological mother. There may be one or two embryo transfer calves in this group. Everybody's proud of their embryo transfer calves because they're usually superior, better genetics. And we'll produce some, but that requires doing a lot of different things. And basically, we really believe that our cows are better cows than the average Wagyu because of the way they evolved to where we're at today. We have a spring and fall calving season. We don't call any cows for genetic defects. We keep all the cows, no matter what their defects are, but we only select bulls that are free of defects. So we'll breed those defects out after years. Factor 11, when we started checking for it, was probably 46% in the herd. That's the average in all the herd. And we've never culled a cow, and I would guess we're down about 12% right now over the years. Next slide, please. So this is our country. It's a great place to calve if everything goes right. Okay? It's beautiful. The calves are out there. We calve after we've been feeding. We're not feeding cows, so they're not dragging these calves into the mud. They're out in the range. The problem is there's nobody to help them if something goes wrong. And we can't take a calving weight. You're 3 days late, you're not going to catch those calves. And so we don't have a calving date. And this is going to be, or a weight. We bring them in at 30 days, tag them, mother them up, figure out who their mothers are, turn them back out again, vaccinate them. Next slide, please. Our purebred cow herd started in 1990. Our full-blood cow herd started in 97. I bought a bull for the university called Alvin. It was out of Texas. This was my first dealing with Texans. Tina, where are you? Tom? Anyway, there they are. Man, it was a nightmare. These guys skinned me alive. I mean, I bought this bull. Before I got out of there, I was begging the university to give me money to buy. And anyway, Alvin was a polled bull. I really liked him. I bought a polled bull. The 4 original bulls that came in, there were no females, so they had to breed them up. And Alvin was out of a bull called Fuji. Everybody thought he was a Tajima bull and the best bull in the outside of Japan. It turned out to be the poorest. Alvin, in our selection, Dr. Gaskins is here, did EPDs on him. We checked I gave semen away to everybody I could get to breed to that bull. Probably set the industry back 5 years. He was, and I think he's still, Charlie Gaskins run 4,000 carcasses through, and I think Alvin's either the bottom or the next to the bottom. He's second, he's still there. So I used that as an excuse for a long time. People always ask me, what bull should I select? And I just told them at that time, I said, I was the one that selected Alvin, so don't listen to me. When the new genetics came in, we switched to Michifuku Haruki. Those were the first new bulls in. At that time, they were DNA parent verifying. They were DNA parent verifying these calves, but they weren't the purebreds, which got us in some trouble as we went down. We kept using full-blood sires on these purebred cows and, of course, on our full-blood cows. So we're developing the purebreds, we wanted the polled gene because we couldn't get any out of Japan. The Japanese, if they mutated a polled gene, they killed it because it was a genetic defect. They didn't want it. The Japanese, they look at the horns. Kaido, I don't know where Kaido is. He's out. Anyway, he's from Japan. His parents work with Wagyu cattle, or Wagyu ranchers, and he likes to look at the horns. It's we have a lot of these wise tales in our business too, but they look at them, the shape of them, and the fineness of the horn. That's going to be the fineness of the marbling. It's all simple compared to DNA. But anyway, we kept using these full-blood sires. Next slide, please. Our first full-blood cows were in 97, 98. They came out of Japanese venture partners, Fukutsuro 068, which we heard was a high marbling bull, and Kikiyosho 400. He was supposed to have been sired by a top bull over there, but he was one of the biggest bulls brought in. Next slide. And I just look, this is something that Dr. Gaskins did down here. There were enough of us at the university, we dedicated the university herd to look at the old genetics, which would be Mazda and Alvin, the new genetics, Michifuku, Haruki, and you can see the marbling. These marbling percentages, like I say, 1,000 would be probably slightly abundant. I'm not sure exactly what they are, but the higher the number, the better. And you can see Michifuku is good. Alvin, he's tailing back here. He's the worst one. And we look at the ribeye area. Alvin, he's got a real small ribeye too. And Michifuku's coming out on top with a few numbers. Carcass weights are pretty good. And these are the number of animal or carcasses we looked at. So this was the start of the EPDs. Dr. Gaskin sitting right there. He's going to get an award by the Beef Improvement Federations here in June for being a pioneer in Wagyu genetics or in animal genetics. And so the Wagyu is being recognized by the cattle industry itself by honoring him. And so I think we need to give him a round of applause. Thank you, Charlie. Next slide, please. So our sire selection didn't start very good. We started with Alvin. We started using the new genetics in 93. 1997 to 2017, we used the WSU EPDs. That's how we selected our bulls, who we're going to keep, what we're going to use. In 2010, we started selecting for feed efficiency. And then we would look for marbling, because we could figure feed efficiency a lot younger when they're yearlings to a 2-year-old. Marbling, you got to wait until they have calves and on and kill them, so it takes a lot longer. 2019 to 2024, John Janot convinced me to go in, and AgriBeef was kind enough. We went in with them, and they have EPDs. Actually, AgriBeef or Snake River Farms probably has more EPD, carcass EPDs, than the American and Australian Wagyu associations put together. There's no doubt in my mind. They slaughter a lot of animals, they DNA them, and they record their carcasses. And they don't care who comes to the top. They don't sell any genetics, thank God. So we relied on them, and we still look at their data, and they look at ours. 2023 to 2026, all of our selection is based on the American Wagyu Association data. People ask us, our cattle can be registered in Australia, most of them. I'm not sure all of them can. But we're sticking with the American EPDs. That's what we think are the most reliable. And I think that all of these EPDs or EBVs have to be run by the association, in my opinion. They have to be audited by the association, or producers are going to take advantage of them, particularly at the carcass end, and the amount of money that's involved in some of these high-end animals. We've got to be careful that these progeny tests are run, and I think the progeny test being run by the association right now is a great one. It's unbelievable. It's expensive to get in, but it's in the long run, it's the only way we're going to figure out what these cattle are. You go out here and look at them, and you cannot look at these animals and tell what you can tell. Okay, yeah, this one's got a better butt in it, so maybe it's got a little more muscling, but you can't tell everything else about it. You can't tell how it's going to marble. You just can't. It's just like people. You can't look at them and tell how good a person they are. You got to get to know them. Okay, next slide. Professor Namakawa was he was the director of the Wagyu Association when 20, 30 years ago when I was going to Japan. He was trained in Iowa, I believe, wasn't he, Charlie? I'm not sure where he was, but he was really a great guy. We told him we were there to bring cattle back here to the U.S., and he didn't agree with that. He didn't want that to happen. But he was very honest with us. He told us, we'd ask him a question, he'd give us an answer. And in one of his write-ups, he had a term called suru, pronounced zuru, as a popular name in the Wagyu industry in Japan. And there was a cow in the suru originated. This cow produced 19 calves during 23 years of her life. And so we have a cow that's we think is pretty good, not that good. And if you think back at this was in the early 1900s, and these cow were used as a beast of burden, not for meat. They really weren't eating them yet. They had only been eating meat since about 1865. It was prohibited. So they were eating some of these when they got old and they couldn't do anything else with them, but they were beast of burden. And in the selection for 2,000 years, they probably selected animals for longevity. If you had an animal that worked and she continued to work, why get rid of her, okay? And so for some reason, our cattle, these Wagyu cattle, live longer than other cattle. You look out here, this one old single bull out here, 30T, is 19 years old. My vet says he's still breeding the one cow that my vet has. So and he wants to fight all the time. So there's some longevity in there. Next slide. There's a term that the industry uses, stayability. Stability and longevity are a little bit different. They're connected. So if we got a cow that lives longer, in our normal industry, our domestic cows usually start to terminate at 10 years of age. It takes us they got to have about 3 calves before they even break even. There's so much time in there. So we want cows that'll have calves for a long time. That's what we call herd stability. With the amount of embryo transfer used in this breed, we can lose sight of what a cow can do and should do. We're flushing heifers, never had a calf in their life. We're saying that it's the most valuable animal around. Well, they might be 5 years from now, but I'm not convinced. Don't want to buy embryos out of heifers. We need cows that can raise their own calf. Next slide. I harp on that all the time. So you want a cow that weans a calf every year. Fertility is important. Must breed back each year. Cow must live, so she's got to have longevity. And environment also plays a role. Next slide. This is a predator we have on the river. That cat probably that guy's a pretty good sized guy there. One year we lost 6 calves. So it's a little discouraging. But I have a neighbor that's in the middle of me. He's got 80 acres. And he's got 50 head. Now he's got about 30 head of sheep. And they're like kind of having a canary in a coal mine. The cougars like those sheep better. And they start on them. And before they get through with them, we've got a government trapper in there. And he takes care of the kitty cat. So that's environment. Okay, it could be bad feed, it could be him, it could be poor management on my part. There's a lot of things can go wrong. Okay, we have a cow and she's out here. We call her Bar. We put this Suru name on her because of what the Japanese did. 72Y. She's 14 years old, had 11 calves that are in the registry. So she weaned them. She came in this year open. Okay. I'll keep her one more year. Then decided I'd sell a flush on her. So she's in our catalog. We sell a flush. If it's semen we have, we'll provide it for nothing. If it's semen you want, you'll have to buy it. What happens, I promised myself I'd never do this again because you get all sorts of situations. You flush her and she has 3 embryos, okay? You flush her the next time and she has 23 embryos. And so we have a situation, we'll guarantee 5 embryos. If she has over 10, we take the residual embryos and we let you pick the best ones, whatever. 72Y's sire is this bull 30T, who is 19 years old. And so anyway, she's got longevity, she's got stability. She's kind of an ornery old cow. She knows all the tricks, but she's a good cow. You look at her. Next slide. And so these are her EPDs. And so we go through them. They're right up here. Marbling's only average. Back fat, average. But all these other traits, ribeye, carcass weight, total maternal milk, are all very high. This is a cow that can be flushed to a bull that's high in marbling and bring everything back where it should be. So I had the great idea that I would breed her to a G4 bull, which is a high-end polled bull, real high. His traits here are way down in here. And what she has, I got the calf. The calf is out there with her, but he's horned. And so I was pretty disappointed in that. But anyway, this is a cow that if you're trying to get interested and you want to have some embryos, this is a type of cow we think that you should be using. Next slide, please. So how do you bring stability to your herd? You know, we found this cow. We just looking through I knew this cow all her life. She's kind of ornery. But when I got looking, she had never missed a calf. Never. Probably. We got some other cows that are pretty good, but not this good. So, you know, getting daughters or sons of this cow should help. Now, stability is not a very high heritable trait. I don't know what Dr. Gassens is. It's probably 30% or lower, I guess. So that means it's hard to select for. There's too many things that can go wrong. Environment is one of them, okay? Usually you're not taking good enough care of them. But I still think it's worth doing. Semen from sons of hers, I believe the association should have EPDs for stability. The Angus are trying to do it. I don't know, Charlie, it can be done, right? So here, these are the sort of things. Next one, please. This is a son of hers. Not as good. You know, we've drifted down here a little bit, but we brought up marbling on this bull. So this is a pretty consistent son. He's way out at the back lot. Nice bull. I showed him to Kaido. He's a nice bull, and we think he's probably one of the better full-blood bulls we have right now. And you'll see quite a few calves in this sale from him. Next slide. The other thing we're trying to do and promote are the polled breeds. So a lot of people say I'm bastardizing the breed by breeding poll. Full-bloods are the only thing. We shouldn't have half-bloods or any of these purebreds. Well, the industry was made on half-bloods. The recognition of the Wagyu term was made on half-bloods. So somebody that's been in the industry 5 years and starts to tell me that we should run the half-blood people out, well, you know, you can leave now. That's all there is to it. The nice thing, there's no dehorning. You got the humane respect. There is nothing worse than dehorning Wagyu cattle. And we don't dehorn until they're weaned because we can't catch them when they're calves. We don't put a paste on them. And so when we wean them, and they only have horns about this high, but they're about that big around. And so they're really tough. You know, and we have a few cows in the herd that are horned, and they're too friendly. They're the boss. They just walk along a feed trough, run all the other cows out. Sometimes I'm standing there, and they're too friendly. Some countries are only by the Europeans. When they deal with the South Africans, I believe your cattle have to be dehorned, or they have to be polled, but they have to be dehorned with an anesthetic. Is that correct, Ryan? That's it's coming. Okay, so what happens over there will eventually get here. And I feel we all kind of agree that the Bos Indicus, the Brahma cattle, have a little bit better immune system than do our continental and English cattle. Just a little more disease resistance. I've got a vet over here. Earl, wouldn't you say that's true? Okay. And I think our domestic cattle are just got a little better immune system than the Wagyu. Calves are a little weak. They get scours easy. And so I think our polled cattle will be have a better immune system, the purebreds, than do the full-bloods. We're interested in the meat anyway. We don't care about the horns. We don't care about whether they're full-bloods or purebred. If the meat's good, that's what's important. Next slide. We got to have, on these polled animals, we got to have carcass traits that are equal to full-blood Wagyu, performance traits better than the full blood. Livability and stability, they're going to be hard to keep up. I think the full blood are better than our purebred. I thought with the purebred we'd be able to introduce a little more milk in them. I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I always proposed that we'd get more milk out of these purebreds, but I haven't seen it. Next one. This is a polled bull we sent to Australia. The Australians bought a percent in 52Y. Jordan and Logan were just over there, and I think they heard quite a bit about this bull. He's made a hit over there. He's popular, bringing the polled bull in too. Did you see any meat, Logan? I mean, they were high on this bull. I know they had to brag on him. Next slide. So if we're going to increase profit in these cattle, there's only two ways to do it. You got to decrease production cost, or you got to increase what you sell them for. So the Wagyu, you can capture a better price for it. Next slide. How do we decrease production cost? And we'll talk about feed efficiency. If you got animals that are more feed efficient, and the simple thing to think about is they eat less and gain the same, okay? If you don't have to feed them as much, and there's people like this. You know, there's people that are like this. I'm as I get older, I'm getting more. Anything I eat, it sticks right with me. So there's a term in this industry called residual feed intake, and we use this term RFI. And there's feed that's used for maintenance to keeping our body warm. We don't need much today. There's feed used for growth, make us grow. And then there's feed that we don't use for either growth or maintenance. It's not utilized. It passes right. Some of it passes. It's just not utilized. And that's called residual feed. We want to select for animals residual feed that use less feed. Next slide. Part of the bulls that have freeze brands on them, the N bulls, we call them the Nancy bulls. That's the year they're born, are fed in Yerington, Nevada by a former WSU student called Lucy Snyder Feedlot. And so these are grow safe systems. Vitelli owns them now. I still call them grow safe systems. But there's a scale under each of these. Only one bull can stick his head in at a time. So it figures out how much he eats. Okay? Every time he goes to water, it weighs him. And so we keep him in here for 70 days. And we can figure out how much feed goes in him and how much he grows. And they can make a calculation. They can subtract the growth, the maintenance out, and figure out how much feed went through him that's not used. Next slide. So here's an example. We've got two bulls, A and B, and these are real bulls. Their gain is about 2 pounds a day. Their body weight's about the same. Their marbling is 0.2 and 0.3. It's about the same. One bull, A, ate 6 pounds less. Now, this is on the average of all the bulls that are in the system. That's the one thing. And this bull ate 2.4 pounds, or 2.14. So there's 8 pounds difference. Bull B eats 8 pounds more per day to make the same gain. Okay? That doesn't sound like much. Okay, 17.5 cents a pound. That's $1.43 more he cost me for 70 days. Well, it's not the end of the story, because if I took that bull out and bred 30 cows, and I used him for 3 years, had 90 calves out of him, and each of them, you're losing that amount of money on them, it turns into thousands of dollars. So in some respects, you're more important to look at this. Now, you're saying, well, where do I get that kind of data? It cost us $1,000 a bull to get that data. That's all. That's just the feed trial, not this diesel prices I had to haul them back from Yerington. I mean, it's expensive. The associations need to be getting these data and presenting EPDs on feed efficiency. We need that. We need it. And basically, that's the only, these are things, we're trying to stay ahead of the industry. We're trying to stay ahead of Gretzky's puck. And these are the things that's going to keep us there, if we can make it work. Next slide. The new thing you're seeing on the EPDs and EBVs are these selection indexes. You've got one number. I got all these numbers and graphs, and they got one number, okay? This is the best animal because he runs a selection index. It's all fine and dandy, but there's one guy making this selection index. I don't know him. I don't know that he knows what he's doing, but it's fine. It's a marketing tool. You don't have to look at all the numbers. You can just look at one and say, hey, this is the best animal ever been raised. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. Make your own selection index. In your own mind, you don't have to write it all down and everything, but look at the data. And here's what's going to happen in this industry. And I'm sure this is right. I talked to Kaido, hiding over here in the corner. His family raises Wagyu cattle in Japan. Okay? The Japanese have been, we pulled our cattle out of there in 1990. Okay? Our cattle are easy calving. It's a great thing. I could lease bulls and easy calving. I see Booth Creek. Vince Berlin's cousin come back from Japan. Both of them are saying the biggest problem they got over there, they've selected cattle that are big. They marble better than they ever have. Kaido says they're pulling 40% of their calves. C-sections, 20%, Kaido? Somewhere. It's a problem. And here we are. Our indexes are saying select 60% on growth. They're saying carcass weight, yearling weight, and ribeye, which are all correlated, come out to almost 70% of our emphasis is on growth. No negative effect on birth weight. Birth weight's growth. And if we keep going this way, we're going to end up with too big a cattle again. We got to select cattle that are not this big. We got to select it. We got to put some negative, we got to put some pressure on birth weight. And I'm the last one. I'm a guy that doesn't take birth weight. I just can't. I can't catch these calves, run around the breaks. But there's enough Wagyu breeders that can, and their data is as good as mine. So this is a problem we're going to have. Next slide. So part of these heifers, I like this slide, part of these heifers, and Chaz can tell me, got away from us. It took us 2 days, a full crew chasing them. Charlie, they got out of your place and they got into the Becker place. And Chaz and I and Butch were not fleet enough. One of us got a bad leg, one of us got a bad shoulder. Chaz, the only healthy one in the group, we couldn't get him through the gate. So I got another crew in the next day, and we chased them from these bluffs all the way back around. And the next day we got there, we did it several times. The next day we got there, they were all out where they were supposed to be. And but anyway, that's the end of my talk. I hope you have a good meal and an enjoyable stay. And if you've got any questions for Butch Booker, you just raise your hand when he's talking, and he'll work on it. Okay, questions? Evidently, the meal's not ready. Okay, any questions? Yes. Tina, Texas. Tina down here asked me what's next. What is next? She wants me to repeat the question and answer it. Well, I believe our industry is going to move very fast with all the data from the Australian EBVs and our EBDs. We're going to be able to make advances quickly. The industry will. And I'm saying I believe we're going to get in trouble with too big of animals that are hard calving. And I think that's where we've got to be careful. We're not there yet, but we're going to be there. I mean, we've got all the data. Australia's got all the data. It's going to end us up in the same place. It doesn't make any difference if they're doing it right and we're doing it right. And we're going to end up with bulls that are hard calving, which we've never had that problem before. I've been able to lease bulls, sell bulls to people, and very seldom have any calving problems. Backward calf is a backward calf. It's usually not a bull problem. So that's what I see. The industry is going to go fast. I have no idea. Like I say, I'm worried about the government doing the same thing it did with eggs and went to Turkey and got eggs. So we got lots of eggs now. I'm worried about them going to someplace like Brazil and open Brazil up, and there's a lot of meat there. And you think Argentina, you guys, Argentina's not going to bother us, but I think Brazil, and I don't think Australia's going to bother us. I think we'll handle it. I mean, we can do all right, but Brazil, if they start bringing meat in out of there, it's going to hurt the whole industry. Question? Yes. Well, the talk I heard yesterday, it looks, and we got Evan and Tyler. Yeah, they emphasize that we're making it too complex. We've got to keep it simple and straight, and in my opinion, feed them. The more they taste, and the more, and not get into all of our problems and all of that sort of stuff. Just give samples out and keep it simple. I mean, that's the takeaway I took yesterday was we're making it too complex, talking about F1s and full bloods and purebreds and 360 days on feed and all of this. Well, grain fed, grass fed. Just give them samples and let them. Well, I got some association members here. Anna, did you guys hear the question? Are we doing anything for marketing the Wagyu product itself? Is that for the consumer? Yeah, great. That's Gracie's question. What? Well, I think the answer has got to be from the restaurant guys. I believe.
I'll just jump in here too. Thank you, Hannah. And yes, the folks at the AWA are here today, so be sure to touch base with them. But from a marketing perspective too, I think it's important that we tell our story. People are always looking for our websites. They want to buy local. They want to buy beef. They want to know the family behind the brand too. So make sure you have a website. Make sure you're somewhere on the internet that someone can find you if they're looking. And then the NCBA, National Beef Cattlemen's Association, has free resources for marketing beef. And if you want to find those, talk to me afterward. I can send you those. Sometimes your local cattlemen's associations will have those. So there are resources, you just have to find them. But I would say sharing your story, you got to start somewhere, and that's the best way to do it.
Oh, yes, young lady. No, I think we can get growth, but we've got to watch for birth weight, and so you're going to have to figure a size somewhere along the line. Like a big cow for us would be 1,200 pounds running in these breaks. If we get them much bigger than that, they can't keep their body mass and they can't get up and down the canyons. But we've got so much emphasis on growth. I don't say we don't need more growth. We do. I mean, there's money. If you lose a carcass loses 200 pounds at $7 a pound, that's a lot of money on one carcass. So you've got to have the growth, but we've got to also watch birth weight, and we've got to make sure that we're getting calves structurally that can come out. And if we got bulls that are making them too big, then we only breed them on cows, and we don't breed them on heifers. I mean, the Angus Association handles that. I mean, they've got birth weight bulls, they got growth bulls. And so that's the same thing that we're going to have to do too. We're going to have to figure that out. So I don't see how we can back off of growth to a certain extent. Everybody's environment's different. But these packing plants, they want as much carcass as they want. So what are your carcasses averaging right now, Logan? Or where's Jordan? He's out there eating or what? 900-pound carcasses? Okay. Yeah, we're actually higher than that. Of course, we don't get them killed in time sometimes. So, other questions? Yeah, and I can criticize this. I think the birth weight situation they have on the right side, you got real small birth weights. Okay, that's supposedly good. On the left side, you got big birth weights. That's supposedly bad. Somewhere in the middle is the best. I don't want a 45-pound calf. He ain't gonna live. I like a 60, 65, 70, 75. Somewhere in the middle should be the premier. Too far on one end or too far on the other end is not going to be good. That's just all there is to it. Yeah, that's Colt. He's disappointed. They had the meat cutting demonstration here yesterday and couldn't hardly keep him off of this spot. He licked the floor all night. So I can tell you a little more about us. We have this property here, the dirt farm. When we moved in here over 30 years ago, there was some wheat on this place, and I asked the guy, I said, "Hey, is that wheat mine?" He said, "Sure, you sell it." Okay, I sold it. I got $5 a bushel. Going through Colfax the other day, I looked up on the wheater board. Wheat was $5.25. So I kind of feel for these dirt farmers here. I mean, it tells you agriculture is not moving in the right direction, in my opinion. Diesel's probably jumped 5 times since that, and those guys are only getting 25 cents more a bushel 33 years afterwards. That's ridiculous. So we have 70 acres here, and we have about 2,000 acres on the other side and lease 500 from Charlie Oldenburg here of the river. And then we have some land on this side, about 1,000 acres. It's cheap land. I don't say it's cheap, but it's reasonable land compared to the other. And then we lease land up in Idaho, up in the mountains, and we move up there in the summer. This land in the canyons will hold one cow. 30 acres will hold a cow all year. Takes a lot of land. If we can move them up into Idaho in the summer where they can get good grass, we can put a cow to 10 acres down here. So we almost triple by leasing land up in Idaho. We'd like to buy land up there, but it's more expensive than the farmland down here. So anyway, so from one end to the other, it's a 50-mile trip. We can't get across the dam. We got to cross Lower Grand Dam. We can't get across with big trucks, so we got to use gooseneck trailers. It gets a lot of driving up and down the road, and it's a long ways for an old man. And so my only advice to these trucks anymore is that they take reverse out for anybody over 80, and I'm 82. So I'll turn it back to. Hey, okay. You bet. Well, the question, Earl Allsuts is a dairy veterinarian. Incidentally, he was a student of mine one time. I think. I know his wife was, but I'm not sure he was. I remember her better than you, Earl. Uh, his question is, he does a lot of beef on dairy. Veterinarian, he's wondering if we can select more frame size on these animals and possibly keep the shoulder down so they're doing. He's seen these beef bulls, but now one thing, Select Sires called me up and they have the control of Jersey genetics out there. They called me and they said, what Wagyu bulls should we be breeding those Jerseys to? And I said, honestly, I guess I'd breed them to Gelbvieh or Ronve or something like that, because you breed a Jersey to a Wagyu, you're not going to get much of a calf. But and so I would say that may be some of the problem in there. And I think the Wagyu are taken apart. That's a big part of our industry right now. This beef on dairy. And Logan, what percent? What percent? Jordan, where is Jordan? He hiding on me? Yeah, he's down there. But I do know, I see dairy Wagyu calves in your lot over there, and so it's a problem. And maybe a frame score is what's needed. I don't have the answer, but a lot of these Wagyu calves look like to me they're structurally good for calving. And the beef on dairy, they're all over the board. They're using Charolais bulls, they're using a lot of Angus, and some of them are using dairy too. I mean, excuse me, Wagyu, but that may be a way. And it's a big industry. It is a big industry right now. The dairy guys are hurting. They're making more money off these calves, I think, than they are off their milk. So, are they still paying you? Are they? Okay, no problem. Well, thank you. I hope everybody keeps happy, okay?